It's like Top Gun.
All if anyone wants to be heard.
Yeah, I got some of the no sign sheets. There's some more changes. You want me to get you Hello everyone, if I can have your attention, I have 6 o'clock. I'd like to open up the town hall meeting. I'll go through the agenda. One of the things I do just want to make sure we read off our policies and procedures. This evening we have Councilman Bombs, Councilman Leclerc, myself, John Perry, and policies and procedures as are followed. No political advances. Town supervisor or designated official will run this meeting. All persons requesting to speak must sign in, which the sheet is still in the back. I have the top one here. Sign in, state their name and address before speaking. Must be a resident of Hurley. First come, first speak. All speakers have approximately 2 minutes. Window to speak, one person at a time. Overall, respect everybody. That's the key. We're here tonight, you know. We have a budget going into effect. Y'all's information and inquiries will go a long way for me to assist in the budgeting. So from that, I'd like to start with some of the individuals. I'll start from the top. I apologize ahead of time if I messed up your name. Lisa Tumbleson?
Tumbleson, falling over. Okay, I just got here early enough to be the first on the list. I don't know that I'm necessarily the best lead off, but I'll try. I actually have missed the last few meetings on this topic because I am a working realtor with Wynn Morrison and I've been real busy. There's a lot going on in this general area, as you know. But this is very important to me because I do live at 23 Holland Drive in West Hurley, a street which is known to a number of you because of the incredible problems we have had with an ill-conceived development from 1959 or 1960 or so, which had a group well, which was very poorly conceived and poorly maintained, and is now in front of the state authorities to try to remedy. But a lot of problems have been caused by jumping into something that looked like a really good deal at the time. So I'm just here mostly to find out what's going on because I'm very surprised that this is still on the table. My understanding was that there was a moratorium on all multi-dwelling developments, and I've also heard that that doesn't include this particular West Hurley school development, so I'd like to know why it doesn't, and if there's some way we can make sure that it does, because again, as a realtor, I reiterate that the money is way too low, the developer is not reliable, and I only have 2 minutes, so I'm just going to cover the high points. Also, just every proposed project in the next few years are going to have enormous impacts on the people who live and pay taxes in this area, just like me, where this development will be located. Along Route 28, that's another issue, but also specifically in the Cedar development. And apparently, every project is designated a negative declaration under SEQR. I'm just wondering what the reason for that is and if we're going to develop some transparency on that so that we can understand what's going on. And I think I've probably reached my time. Thank you so much.
As far as the secret review, Matt, being the previous chair to the planning board, potentially can help you with that.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at, every project's looked at on an individual basis, and we looked with our planner, Alan Sorson, who's been around a long time. He reviews them through the town policy, looks at the town codes and laws, and if that's
We
what
can't
come up
hear
with.
you.
I'm sorry. From the
There's
planning
a mic over
You want to use the microphone?
I can speak on it. The planning board reviews everything individually. There's nothing taken in groups. So all these projects that were taken, if they're a negative declaration, they've been looked at by the planning board, they've been looked by our consultant, Alan Sorensen, and that's what it comes back to under the law. It's not anything they want to do or anything they don't want to do. It's just the way that it's been through. So that's a planning board question, and that's where it comes from.
Okay. How about the whole moratorium thing? Why is this particular project not included in the moratorium? Or is it in fact, I just misread the news?
It is.
It is included?
It is included, correct.
It's included?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Cool, so it's not gonna happen for at least a couple of months?
Correct. They're still moving forward with whatever they're doing with the planning board. They can still do that, but until the moratorium is off, they can't do anything.
Okay.
You have to ask the developer why. I don't know why they're still moving forward. I mean, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. It had the property has not been purchased yet. It still has not been purchased.
So he has an escrow for this kind of thing?
I guess, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bill?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sorry, Bill McKnight, everyone.
Yeah, I'm Bill McKnight. I live on Holland Drive in West Hurley. In 2012 and 2013, there was a committee formed by the Antioch School District. And they were comprised of citizens and stakeholders from the community. And the community recommended the West Hurley Elementary School become a senior citizen center and community center, which is currently lacking in the town. And at that time, there were citizens who offered their assistance to raise money and create a community center. Recently, in our last meeting here, the town board in this spring said that a citizen stepped forward again to assist with fundraising, and the citizens have repeatedly requested assistance from the town for this, yet the town, the school district, and the county are basically ignoring the people. So the question is, why won't you help the people and listen to the people you're supposed to represent and work with the school district to make a senior citizen center and community center a reality?
Honestly, we cannot tell a school what to do with the property. Who they sell it to, that's not my jurisdiction, it's not the town's jurisdiction. We would love to see the opportunity to have senior housing in there, 100%, 2002, 12 and 13. Optimal time to take advantage of that situation before it was under the contract of being purchased. At this point in time, it's sitting in my lap right now, and unfortunately I have nothing I can do if this gentleman wants to put in whatever he's deciding to do based on the development of the purchase.
And if that falls through, will you try and purchase the school from the Antioch School District? The town purchase it from the school district and make it into a community center and senior center?
I cannot answer that at this point in time.
Is that,
I would have to
is
go
that something
through-
you're open to?
I'm definitely open to senior housing, 100%.
Senior citizen center and a community center.
Center, not housing.
Community center and senior center.
Either one.
A YMCA, that sort of thing, as well as.
I'll definitely put it on the table and speak about it at that time may come if it falls through. I can tell you the developer is not purchasing the property. He's over-invested and he will be doing something with it and he will be purchasing, he's made that very clear.
If it doesn't go to closing, you can't purchase it. If he doesn't meet the seeker requirements, he can't purchase it. Correct?
That's, yeah, I mean, potentially,
So then-
no, that's not correct. He
It's
can
not
purchase-
correct? He can still purchase it if he can't do anything with it?
Sure.
He can purchase it and let it sit there.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
It's a good use of that property. Thank you.
Thank you. Jenna Martin?
Hi, it's me again.
Jenna?
Okay, so this is for you guys. These are just more of the same.
Okay.
If you were here for the last town hall meeting, I guess one of the last ones, I held up a whole sheet of DOB violations for the developer, Dannenberg, and I just went ahead and looked them up, again, just to see what progress had been done, and very little. So basically the same outstanding development issues, the same construction issues, the same hazards. There's got to be a way to be dealing with the potential costs of all of this, because enforcing this is going to cost more than it would cost to build a senior center, honestly. Okay, so I have two questions. The first one is, at the August 26th town board meeting, we learned that the secret documents were submitted to the town. I guess, Mr. Leclerc, this is for you. The citizens foiled for the secret documents, and we were informed that the planning board, which is an agency, doesn't have them. So we'd like to know what's up with the secret documents and why can't we see them? And where are we with that process?
I can't answer that. I'm not on the planning board anymore. I haven't been on since a year
Right.
ago. So
Okay.
I would ask you to go to the planning board with that one, and they should be able to answer that for you.
Well, we
The chairman should
submitted
do
the
that.
planning, we submitted a FOIL to them already. We haven't heard a thing. Can you guys help us with this?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can tell you that if there was a FOIL submitted and you didn't receive anything, then we don't have the secret reviews either.
Okay, but if the seeker is in process, then something's going on. So
True.
it's
So it
very
would be-
important that we know what it is.
We would get it once the county gets in, once the county sees what is in their requirement, the planning, or a town planner would see them, and then from there it would come down to us, and that's when it would sit with our planning board. But I will say this, if and when we get it, the request has been made, I will make sure that you get it based on your FOIL request previous. I will not make you have another FOIL request.
Thank you.
As soon as we see that, I'll have that.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the only other question, do I have a little more time? One more question?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, this was about the independent biologist. This was the town meeting in April 2019. Councilman Bombs requested an independent biologist conduct an environmental impact study for the West Hurley School. The consultant cited by the developer has worked with him on many previous projects, which represents what we think of as a conflict of interest, right? He's not exactly independent. What is the status of the town engaging independent specialists to conduct the environmental impact study? This is also related to seeker, and other studies on behalf of the people of Hurley, not the developer.
Well, the first thing we have to do is get their report,
Got it.
and we haven't got anything from them yet. And once we get their report, then we're gonna go and most likely do our own independent.
With somebody else.
Some, of course.
Great.
Someone local.
Well, you know, this, I forget his name, but he's already done 9 projects for Dannenberg already.
Yes.
So, I mean, Dannenberg called him an independent contractor. That's not independent.
Well, he's independent in the sense that he has his own business, I suppose. He's not independent.
Right, but he's also being supported by Dannenberg too.
Right.
So we will get another.
Yeah, so once we get his report, we'll review it, and then we'll go check for our own. That definitely will happen.
That seems like that would factor into the secret process as
Yes, I
well.
will. And I just want to address the updated building code violations.
Yeah, there's 4 of them. I didn't want to
Right,
go
so-
along with it.
I don't know if anybody went to the planning board meeting the other night? Okay, it's important that you all go. This is where you're gonna get information firsthand and upfront, not third party or yourselves, you can determine. So it's been discussed, I guess, that the developers are now considering no longer renting. They will be potentially putting it forth as condominiums. So this then potentially would then do away with the potential to, and this is based on the fact that they listened to you all when they were here last time, before any public hearing has been put into place. That they've acknowledged the issues with the continuous sightings. They're no longer going to be developer/landlord. They're also looking into the fact that low-income housing, subsidized housing was an interest of concern. So that's another reason why they decided to potentially put forth them as for sale, not for rental.
I have one comment on that, if you don't mind, which is, I actually spoke to the 431 tenants, the 431 Bleecker Tenants Union, and I asked them how things are going, and they said that Dannenberg has offered all of them the chance to buy their own apartments and turn it into a condominium, so he doesn't have to deal with them anymore. So I would say, many of these are construction violations. They have nothing to do with whether it's a rental or it's a condominium building.
So you're referring to the actual build out itself?
Yes,
Well, that would
he's
be
still
one.
going to be building
He
it.
has to go under our building code.
Yes.
And let me tell you something, we got one of the best darn building code officers in this town when it comes to that.
We have one person.
And I have a
one
full-time
guy.
person, and guess what?
I know he's awesome, but
He is. He
this
is.
is gonna cost a lot, and this is gonna cost the town a lot. He never builds by the book. It's really something to consider here,
Okay.
this is gonna cost us.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you. Angela? Angela?
I just have a follow-up question for you about the water capacity test that we discussed at a recent town board meeting. Apparently it came up again. I wasn't at the planning board meeting, but I hear that it came up again, and that somehow the inference was that the capacity test that's going to be done either later this month or sometime in October, that you had planned, which we had spoken of and you said was a town-sponsored water test. The planning board seems to have said, well, I'm pretty sure that that's what was said at the town board meeting.
Yeah.
And then the planning board meeting, apparently it came up again, and he said no, that Mr. Miller, who works for Dannenberg,
Right.
would be conducting the test. Could you give me some clarification on, I mean, if it's going to be independent, how would Miller be doing it? Why wouldn't it be something that the town
Okay, so,
pays for itself?
all right, so I did speak out of turn, and there was a letter by the developer's attorney that was sent to the town telling me that I had no jurisdiction to say that. It has to go through the planning board, which is why the planning board brought it back up and the request to do the pull set tests again. So that's why that was done the other night. I kind of jumped forward because I know that I want the pull tests to be done. It's not my authority to ask or request it. It has to come from the planning board. So that's why Mr. Miller made that announcement. And it'll go through the town engineers. They will be setting all these dates and such up, as well as the town attorney at this point in time. So anybody that's interested in wanting their wells monitored during this period, I request that you go to, email Lisa Mance, who's our secretary for planning, planning@townofhurley.org. Submit your address and name. She will then forward it to the town attorney. The town attorney will then relay that to the developer and the engineering firms to confirm that these are going to be where the monitoring is done.
A suggestion is that if this is going to be offered to the town, it not be left to the chance of the residents to email the board and ask for it, but a letter could go out to all, we send out letter to all homeowners, all property owners, and say this is going to happen and we want to offer you this.
I think it's a great idea. We've actually, with the work of it's the CAC, that's the Conservation Environment Council. Thank you. They have done an amazing job over the last 2.5 months to try to figure out the best way to communicate with everybody in this process.
Not that hard, you just send everybody a letter.
Okay,
That's what they've done.
trying to get. So they've submitted a letter. I'm just trying to give them the recognitions that they deserve. That's why I'm taking this time to acknowledge the CAC. So yes, they've submitted a letter, or they will be submitting a letter, finalizing over the next couple of days to let everybody know that's interested in doing the well test within 1,000 square feet of the well, that they have the option to be a part of that monitoring. The last monitoring that was done, there was very few, maybe 2 or 3, I think. So this is an opt-in, this isn't an automatic. You have to opt into this. So,
Will there be some, John, will there be some clarification given to folks who want to participate, just what responsibility, whether it's Miller or whomever who actually is responsible for conducting the test, if there are costs involved, which I'm not a well owner, some other people here are.
There will be no cost to the residents.
I'm sorry?
There will be no cost to the residents.
Could you give me more detail on that? What exactly, I mean, because.
There's no cost to this will not be any money out of your pocket to perform this monitoring.
But the water test is going to go on for 72 hours? Is that what I heard? Is that correct?
You're saying from the back. I don't. Now you're referring to the district, the water district, on a pulling of the. These are just for the wells, independent
I'm
wells.
talking about, all right, I was under the impression.
So I
that
don't know if you're within 1,000 feet. If you are within 1,000.
I'm not talking about, I'm actually talking on behalf of somebody else who can't be here tonight, who has wells on the Cedar Street side of 375.
So they don't get charged.
Well, I think there's a
Their well
concern,
water
there's a lot of issues with, particularly it's a dry season, and that they could have other
right.
issues as a result
You're
of
referring
the
to like
water
an
test.
insurance issue if something happens to the well. I'm confused.
Let's say they break something, testing the well. Who's responsible?
So that is something that I am waiting for, because there were concerned based on the lids and the caps, the caps on the
Sanitary.
wells, some of the caps.
Sanitary pads.
Correct, so if those caps are removed, potentially there's some sediment that could be put in or dropped in, these are issues, and we are trying to figure that out as far as insurance purposes. Yes, that's what you're referring to?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So that's one thing that I am looking into and waiting for a direct answer from both town engineers and the developer's attorneys. So, I'll write that down again.
I guess I assumed that this was really going to be an independent test, that really didn't, I mean, you know, because Dannenberg and Miller did a test back in April, correct? So,
They did.
So wouldn't it behoove us as a town to have an independent test that we can call our own and bring in our own independent hydro specialist who could conduct, and we'd have more confidence perhaps in that information than going back to the developers, whoever's on the payroll for the developer? I mean, I'm here to ask the stupid questions. That concerns me, and I don't even own a well.
I mean, I have, I can't answer that, but I will address it. I mean, this is something that the town engineers set up, so I will, you know, I don't know, maybe they'll give us a list of companies that do this, and we can go from there.
John, also, I mean, regardless of who's doing the testing, the cost should be borne by Dannenberg out of his escrow.
I'm not I didn't say that it wouldn't.
Okay, I'm just,
No,
so.
we have escrow accounts set up, they understand what they have to do, they know it's gonna roughly cost about $10,000 to do it.
So the town could select an independent.
I'm working with the engineers, if in fact it's not tight and well, you know, whoever that may be, doing the independent pulling, if the town peoples that are being monitored, or the West Hurley area feel like that's not the person, potentially, maybe we could put 3 people that the engineers feel comfortable on that letter. And come back with a survey and, I mean, say something.
You'll get more people involved too if they don't feel like Miller's doing the testing.
Miller, and so Miller is the attorney?
No, he's the hydro.
He's the hydrologist
No,
who's hired
this,
by Denver.
they hired he didn't do it himself. They hired a company to come in to do this. An independent company.
No,
It shouldn't be the
Correct.
same company.
That's not what happened?
Miller drew them on.
And then
You would like to see a different company, obviously.
Yeah, and then I think more people would be.
Well, is there like a local West Hurley company right now that,
You know, it doesn't matter. They don't have to
Our
be
building
forced.
department knows lots of them, and works with them every
I
day.
understand, I'm just putting it out there. I mean, we have a lot of gentlemen and ladies in the audience that potentially have a neighbor that has a business that does this.
What about
And I would love to make it somebody
Higher
close to home.
Heyer? H-E-Y-E-R? What about those guys? That guy, he's good. Yeah, he's good. He's good, he's very thorough, he's very honest.
Okay. So we'll try to-
John, just for clarification, Robert Miller's firm did do the draw, because their trucks were back doing the draw. I got pictures of their trucks
So
doing the
Miller
draw.
Hydraulics
They did the
is the
draw.
company,
They did the draw
and
for Dannenberg.
for Dan. So
Right.
my understanding is that the engineers, the town engineers were not using that. That's not the name that came to light that I was familiar with.
That's who provided the report, was Robert Miller, hydrologist.
Okay. So our request is,
It could be anybody. It doesn't have to be somebody from this. Just who's the head?
okay. Angela, I'm sorry, you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Susan Robinson?
Susan Robinson at 10 Wall Street, West Hurley. This is the first meeting I've been to about this, so hopefully these questions will pertain to you, or you can tell me who to ask them. My property is on Wall Street and directly in front of the school where the marsh area is, and I'm really concerned about what's going on with the multi-housing, because I had a problem with drainage and sewage backing up, raw sewage smell coming in my basement after North Engineering. The zoning was changed for him. He filled in his backyard, and my whole backyard, it's been somewhat resolved now. So they put in a pipe under Route 28, I think. But I'm wondering, like, what is the situation with the drainage and the septic and
If I can answer one question at a time. So as far as the drainage goes, I'm working with DOT right now to do a full clean out of the pipe actually that is under 28 that follows through, that connects to the pipe that which you're referring to. That was done, that hasn't been cleaned out in over a decade. And it's very small, so I'm sure that it's not releasing the waters that need to be released. So that should help you even more. The other thing is the developer potentially, if whatever happens here with the passing of it, they have to perform some type of water retention system that potentially not only can take the water from you, but other waters can take and remove that and put that back into this culvert and out to 28. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is specifically making sure that that drain is clear. So any tests that are done accurately, and to benefit the situation that's there now currently. Okay.
Right, okay. That's good. Let me see. What about the septic? I mean, everybody that I know has a septic tank. How's that gonna impact, like, with this with all this housing that's going here?
I can't speak on that until their secret review comes out. That'll give all the tests that are done for the environmental review.
And then the traffic, what is the plan for traffic?
Yeah, again, so these are great questions. They're not answered yet, so you still have time to, when we haven't even had a public hearing on this.
Okay.
So these are great questions. We need to bring them to the planning board so you can get accurate answers.
Okay.
I mean, I'll definitely, they know these questions are going to be coming up because they're very important questions. The majority of these that you just inquired about will be part of the secret review in environmental, specifically the traffic as well.
Very good, thank you.
Sure.
Well, they actually they spoke about the traffic.
Yes,
impact.
they
So have
did.
done a study.
And
1 second more.
it was pathetic.
23 trips.
23 cars for 40
Yeah,
cents a car.
Ridiculous.
It's been discussed, so I don't know why I'm saying it hasn't
It was
been
ridiculous.
discussed.
They wanted to, it was,
They say it wasn't done.
No, I mean, but why is it saying, why are we hearing that it has not been done when it has been done?
I have not gotten a traffic study.
Well, we sat at the meeting in Hurley.
He talked, the guy
The guy came and.
No, you left before they came in on that meeting.
You know, this would be really helpful if there were minutes on the public hearings. There are no minutes on the
There hasn't been a
web.
public hearing.
What?
There hasn't been a public hearing.
On public hearings in general, there are no minutes on the website. This is a public hearing. Are there going to be minutes for tonight?
And this is an open forum. No, we're not conducting any town business here. We're listening to you, to everybody.
Yeah, that wasn't a public.
Yeah, for clarification, the traffic study was discussed at a planning board meeting, and it was presented to the planning board.
Was that
The
the
planning board kind of scoffed at the traffic study and said it didn't make any sense.
Again, what I would recommend is go to the planning board meetings, get the information firsthand.
I have one quick question.
I'll add you to the list, Carl. There's not that many people.
Well, I just,
Go ahead.
real quick,
Go ahead.
with that DOT that you're getting in touch with out here, have you inquired to the DEP?
Yes, that's what we're actually waiting for DEP to get back for them for approvals, along with the state DOT and the town engineers.
You're in contact with DEP, because that drainage culvert runs all the way through DEP,
Right.
which the ditch hasn't been cleaned out in decades.
Correct.
Backing up the water flow.
Correct. So my understanding with the town engineers, because I requested the town engineers do this at one of our CAC meetings that we had, or I'm sorry, one of our comprehensive review committee meetings, and so they're moving forward. They've inquired, DOT has approved it, so they're still waiting for DEP approval to utilize this land. I guess they have to
I
get.
mean, I can tell you, there's probably 2.5 foot of leaves in that ditch over there.
So
And you pull them out and it's saturated, so you can't flow.
right. That's.
Thank you.
I think this will be a very positive thing to get that cleaned out. We can hopefully help the majority of y'all with your issues.